U.S. has indicated it could lift the blockade on Iranian ports if a Hormuz deal restores unrestricted commercial shipping. That concession is conditional, and Tehran still has major demands. Iran and Oman have agreed on the proposed route's coordinates and are finalizing a joint announcement. But a shipping route agreement alone will not reopen Hormuz unless Washington meets Iran's wider conditions. Trump has called off threatened major strikes while claiming the outlines of a deal are taking shape. Is this a diplomatic opening, or another pause before renewed escalation? Trump's Iran U-turn could end the blockade if a Hormuz agreement is signed, yet the core disputes over sanctions, compensation, nuclear limits, and security guarantees remain unresolved. The U.S. is reportedly prepared to lift its blockade on Iranian ports if a Hormuz agreement restores unhindered commercial shipping, though Washington says the move depends on Tehran fulfilling its commitments. A U.S. official told Reuters that the blockade would end once a deal formally guarantees free commercial passage through the Strait of Hormuz. This comes after President Trump said he called off planned strikes on Iran in favor of pursuing a diplomatic settlement, signaling a shift from immediate military escalation to conditional negotiations. The emerging arrangement aims to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and could also address Iran's nuclear program, sanctions relief, and frozen Iranian assets. But Tehran says a route agreement alone will not reopen the waterway. Sanctions pressure on Iran could ease as part of a broader shipping agreement, although Washington has simultaneously imposed fresh sanctions and Iran is demanding an end to sanctions, military threats, and the blockade. Iran and Oman have reached an understanding on the geographic coordinates of a new Hormuz shipping route, with a joint announcement still being finalized. If completed, the deal could become the biggest U.S.-Iran de-escalation in months, but major gaps remain over U.S. concessions, Iranian conditions, and whether all commercial vessels would be allowed through. With the Strait of Hormuz remaining at the heart of the escalating Iran-US standoff, Tehran has announced a stunning change at the highest level of its security leadership. Mohsen Rizoi has replaced Mohammad Bagher Zolgoda, taking over as Iran's top security official at a moment of intense regional tension and uncertainty. Rizoi is a veteran commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and a trusted advisor to Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei. In addition to his new position, Rizoi will serve as Khamenei's representative on Iran's powerful Supreme National Security Council. Zolgoda assumed the position after former Secretary Ali Larijani was killed in an Israeli strike, creating a sudden vacancy at the top of Iran's security apparatus. However, Zolgoda's tenure lasted only a matter of months after he replaced Ali Larijani earlier this year amid growing pressure on Tehran's leadership. Both Rizoi and Zolgoda are regarded as hardliners within Iran's leadership, known for supporting a tougher approach toward the country's regional and foreign adversaries. However, analysts argue that Zolgoda never possessed the same authority or influence as Iran's most senior military commanders. His influence was considered weaker than that of several current and former commanders who have built powerful networks within Iran's military and political establishment. This leadership change comes as Iran holds crucial talks over possible agreement to reopen, or at least manage commercial traffic through, the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. Any agreement to restore shipping through the strait would require approval from Iran's Supreme National Security Council and, ultimately, Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei. Zolgoda reportedly demanded the withdrawal of U.S. troops from the region, compensation for wartime damage, and sanctions relief before Iran would agree to reopen the waterway. Iran and Oman are reportedly nearing an agreement to manage commercial traffic through the Gulf choke point, although the emerging plan may involve only a controlled and temporary shipping corridor rather than a full reopening. Last week, Rizoi claimed that Iran had already displaced much of the U.S. military presence in Kuwait, Qatar, and Jordan, presenting the assertion as evidence of Tehran's growing regional influence. Rizoi also warned that Iran would not permit the creation of a second maritime corridor through the Strait of Hormuz, insisting that Tehran must retain control over the waterway. He further warned that any U.S. military deployment inside the strategic waterway would be treated as a direct threat and could come under attack from Iranian forces.
The wave-like attacks became more precise and intense. Missiles and drones were launched toward the U.S. base to such an extent that Kuwait was turned into ruins. Most forces have been displaced from there. In Erbil, more than 40 to 50 B-52 aircraft had arrived, and many forces were moved out of Erbil. More importantly, the CENTCOM command, which was in Qatar, first moved to Jordan. We also hit Jordan severely, so the commander moved from Jordan to Israel. What does this mean? It means that the apparatus for an imminent battle is being set up so that when they come to the Strait of Hormuz, they can command and provide support from nearby, both command and support for targeting operations in the Strait of Hormuz. Now there is no ceasefire, but our attacks have meaning. For example, we will by no means allow a second corridor to open in the Strait of Hormuz. Even if they bring an aircraft carrier, we will hit the carrier. If they bring military forces, we will hit them. For now, we threaten the ships not to go. Fortunately, many ships listen to our threats and turn back, and we do not engage. But some, who are clearly under complete pressure from the Americans, come. Well, they sustain some damage, and then they turn back themselves. I heard that yesterday, apparently, Mr. Trump said we had an operation larger than World War II. His reference is to the very thing I am talking about. Yes, you're dreaming, Mr. Trump. You were in a dream and a fantasy. But why wasn't it implemented? Why didn't your people set foot on the ground? No, I cannot say it has been completely ruled out. But firstly, it has become very weak and the probability has decreased. Secondly, even if it is carried out, it will be limited, for example, in the form of a raid. Forcing Ukraine to launch a ship attack, they also got in touch saying that no, this was a mistake. We made a mistake. Well, we are currently investigating because we are prepared to strike 3 points in Ukraine. However, after they said it was a mistake, since we are not truly seeking to expand the war and we do not want to incite warmongering. Trump's third war was because they said, we will open the Strait of Hormuz, go in and seize Iran's oil and gas, KAG, and so on. In northern Iran, we deploy air defense. There are only a few bridges and roads leading from north to south, most of which pass through highlands. Therefore, we take Iran's oil and gas, and the management of the Strait of Hormuz falls into our hands, removing it from Iran's control. Now, would the world tolerate this? Would even the Europeans tolerate the global economy's choke point being in America's hands? Would China tolerate it? This itself could have been a catalyst for World War III.
Trump says Washington is low-keying it with Iran, signaling no immediate new U.S. offensive as the administration waits to see whether pressure and diplomacy deliver a breakthrough. The U.S. president says his administration is only semi-negotiating with Tehran, according to Axios, reflecting the absence of a full direct diplomatic process. Trump says the U.S. is just watching Iran as economic pressure continues to bear down on Tehran. Trump says the U.S. naval blockade has deepened economic pressure on Iran, precisely the policy Tehran wants removed before it agrees to fully reopen Hormuz. Trump also argues that oil prices above $75 a barrel have limited the war's impact on U.S. consumers, even as Hormuz tensions continue to unsettle global energy markets. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "We are low-keying it. We are only semi-negotiating with them. We are just watching Iran with its huge inflation and the fact they have no money. It will work out. It always works out. It's like a chess game." Unquote. Trump's remarks suggest Iran's resistance has kept Washington from immediate military escalation, even as U.S. pressure and threats remain in place. Meanwhile, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says Tehran backs talks with the U.S. from a position of power and unity, arguing that negotiations must secure Iran's legitimate rights, not require surrender.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HD app. Download now